Hey, happy Tuesday, Tint Wisdomers. Thank you for joining us on our fifth Tint Wisdom live stream on Facebook. If this is your first one, we do this every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and basically, we take some time to go over best practices, ways you can improve your tint business, ways you can use Tint Wiz to improve your tint business, and answer any questions, share any knowledge, and so on. So today's topic is going to be all about hiring, training, who you should hire, how much you should pay them, how that all is going to work, and we're going to take it. We're going to look at it from, I think, a perspective that most don't see it, and it's going to make it something that comes from, it's typically a common problem for tinters. They'll say, I have trouble finding good help, and I don't know how much to pay them, or I can't keep them, and so on. So we're going to approach this from a different angle, one that should make this more clear for you, more personalized and tailored to your business. We are getting near the end of the year. This is a great time to put systems in place, to hire as needed, to kind of do any improvements in anticipation of the next year. So before I jump into the hiring, I just want to thank everybody who who's watching this time, who watched our last episode. We had the most engagement between the comments and then the messages afterwards, and the demos and the users. Thank you. I'm totally here to help you. This is your time essentially. I'm always going to bring up topics that I feel like can help, and if there's anything that you want to see, please leave a comment. If there's any questions during the live stream, please leave a comment below, and we'll definitely answer them. And it could be a topic that we expand on a future Tint Wisdom. And then I also want to thank the guys at Film Slingers, Robert, Mike, super supportive. I can't appreciate you guys. I can't express how much I appreciate the support you guys provide. There's no affiliation. This isn't a commercial. It's just that, when you see people that are so, will go so far out of their way with, nothing to gain, or just to support the industry, the way they treat their customers, the up and beyond, I just feel like that sort of thing should be recognized. And, when it comes to buying tools, there's not usually a big difference in price. You're buying them based on convenience and who has what you need, and who do you want to support. And those two guys and Film Slingers are definitely worth supporting. So definitely give them a try for your tools. And let's jump into this. So like I said, we're gonna hit hiring at a different angle. So the first thing typically is you think, okay, I have a tint company, I need to hire a tinter. That's not necessarily who you need to hire first. So one of the goals we want to maintain through the hiring process is we want to make sure you never go backwards in money you make. So we're going to keep that in mind the entire way. Don't look at hiring as an expense. This is going to be a way to free up time and make you more money. It's not going to cost you money. It's going to make you money. So with that said, where I want to start is valuing your time. So I need you to think about your day, your week, and everything you do work related that goes into that. So if you're kind of a one-man tint shop, or maybe a two-man tint shop, you're doing everything from opening to talking to customers to installing the tint, checking them out, cleaning up the shop, prepping the cars, ordering the film, responding to emails, taking calls, scheduling appointments. You're doing everything, probably a little bit of everything. You're probably, maybe even handling accounting. You're doing everything. So what we need to do is look at all those things that you're doing and start to separate them. We need to know what you're best at. So are you the best tinter? Are you the best at talking to customers? Are you the best at talking to customers and the best tinter? And we also need to look at, beyond looking at your strengths, we need to look at what are your goals in your business. Is it a lifestyle you're trying to attain? Are you trying to get to free up time to get away from the shop? Are you trying to grow it? Are you trying to make more money? Are you trying to be able to run the business from more of a management perspective instead of a hands-on? What is your goal? Because that's going to also help determine the path. So let's start here. We're going to make some assumptions. I'm going to assume that you are a tinter, and you're actually tinting windows. You're probably talking to customers. You're probably the best salesperson. You're the best at talking to the customer, upselling them, and so on. So we're going to leave those out of the hiring process at the moment. What we need to focus on is all those other things that happen in the day that don't take your magic touch right now. Because those are the important things we want to leave to you. We don't want any disruption in the business. We want to focus on the things that anybody can do and the things that maybe aren't your strength, so that your business, from the day you hire the person, all of a sudden starts to get better and you make more money that week. It's not an expense you have to worry about paying for that week. So what I mean by that is, some of the things that you might be doing now that aren't worth your time, because your time makes the most money when you're upselling. That could be a couple minutes, and that could be the difference between a $200 and a $500 tint job. And if you're the tinter, your time's very valuable, because you could be tinting a car in an hour, 2 hours, and that could mean $200 to $600 in revenue for your business. So the idea is, how do we free up more of your time to be doing those things that are very valuable and worth your time, and we free up the things that aren't necessarily worth your time. So what I mean by that is, things that aren't worth your time would be, prepping a car. You can train somebody to prep a car. You can train somebody in one day to prep a car perfectly for you. You can train somebody to drive a car, to pull it in, to put the floor mats down, to prep the windows, to, just even the parking it. And when you extrapolate those little things throughout the course of a day, that can save you an hour. That could mean another car. But we're not going to stop there. You're getting inquiries throughout the day, meaning you're getting phone calls, you're getting emails, maybe text messages, and somebody needs to respond to those. And if you're talking to the customer and you're tinting the car, when are you getting to emails at the end of the day? If that's the case, or whenever you have time, you have no idea what you're missing, because when you're able to respond to customers immediately, you're able to capture so many more of them, and that's insanely valuable. So another place that we can free up your time is emails. Emails are a great way to train a new administrative person, because if you're looking to hire somebody that's going to learn tint, learn how to talk to customers, maybe go on consultations, be proficient in upselling and so on, that's going to take a lot of training. But this is a way that the training can be really easy. So what you do is, you're going to have to hire a person, that's going to be on a low level. They're there to shadow you. They're there to basically be your assistant. They're an administrator in training. And first thing they're going to do is they're going to shadow you while you're talking to customers. They're going to hear what you're saying. That's it. From there, you're going to have them take that information, and they're going to start looking at the emails. And they're going to go through the emails, and they're going to see which of the emails can they answer. And at first they're going to be asking you questions. Hey, this person wants a sun strip. How much does that cost? And you're going to tell them. Well, their job isn't just to answer that email. Their job is to create a training manual alongside that, the work they're doing, so that they have record of what they did today, what they learned today, and then you can take that and replicate it in the future when you need to train somebody else, because that becomes a system in your hands. So, as this person's as the new employee's looking through emails, they're able to quote people faster. They're able to create proposals that you may not have had time to do yet, or at all. They can create that proposal. You can double check it before they send it. There's no risk there. The same with the emails. They can type out the emails. You can double check it. They can send it. After a few times of you checking it and it being perfect, they can start sending those emails. Once they get accustomed with sending emails, now they're going to get a basic concept of the products and of the prices and of how things go. Next, you can have them start to talk to customers with you there. So it becomes a two-person sales technique when you're bringing the customer in. They can greet the customer, offer them a coffee or water, and buy some time for you to get out there and walk the customer through the sale. From there, the next step would also be, when you get inquiries through like a voicemail, let's say, or you get an online inquiry, they're going to feel comfortable calling that person back, because it's just like answering an email. So again, it's another step into introducing a new employee without costing you a live phone call or without costing you a customer. From there, they can start taking live phone calls in. And once they're taking calls in, if they can answer calls, they can answer emails, they can definitely talk to customers. So what you have there is a well-rounded administrative person that can now help you in the shop and take you away from a task that you may pay them $10 to $15 an hour, and you're tinting an extra car or two a day, making yourself an extra $200 to $500 in that same hour. So that's a trade-off. When you extrapolate that out and you save an hour every day across 5 days, and you make on average $200 to $300 an hour in revenue from tinting in gross revenue as the company owner, you're talking about an increase right there in $1,500, $2,000 in a week, or more, depending on your price point. If you're upselling people to $300, $400, $500, that could be an extra $4,000 or $5,000 in revenue per week, just from taking away things like prepping a car, or like talking to the customer, or answering emails that may not have got answered until the end of the day or the next day. These are ways that you can take a payroll that may cost you $500 in a week and turn it into revenue of $2,000 to $3,000 in a week. When you take that payroll out of that revenue, you're left with $200 or $1,500. You take your material cost, you have an extra maybe $500 to $1,500 in profit at the end of that week, and you're not only that, but you're on the right path to building structure in your company and building a company that can operate on a more efficient scale, on a larger scale, and so on. And then eventually, potentially, with you more of a managerial role versus having to work, tinting every day. Because, tinting is a huge opportunity and it's an incredible industry. But if you're the one actually laying the film every day, that works for 20 or 30 years. But when you're 50, when you're 60, when you're looking at retiring, or even 40, and you start having joint pains and back pains and so on, you need to have a way to have help and not just be a one-man band forever, unless that's what you like. But this is about training and hiring, so I'm assuming that you have an interest in growing your company and making it more efficient, and taking yourself out of the parts of the company that you're not necessarily the most efficient at, or that aren't making you the most money. If you're spending an hour or 2 hours in a week cleaning up the shop, you can pay somebody $30 for those 2 hours to clean up the shop, and you can be tinting another car, bringing in an extra $200 to $500 in that same 2 hours. There's no doubt about it. You have to find ways to insert a person to do the littlest things that have the biggest effect, and really jumping in your email and helping you with miscellaneous stuff around the shop, saving you trips to the store, cleaning up, prepping, greeting the customer, getting them coffee, and so on. All those things, you're going to see an immediate benefit in the amount of money you make that week, even so you're paying somebody. So again, I want you to think about, what is your time worth as you go about your day. Think about, what am I doing right now, and what would it cost if I paid somebody to do it, and what else could I be doing with my time? And that's going to start to shape a budget for how much you can pay somebody for that task, and a role in general. And it's also going to just start to make you try to be more efficient, because you're going to find areas that maybe take you 4 minutes or 5 minutes, and you could get them done in 1 minute, or you can prep something all at once, or you can get somebody to do it for you. And those are all ways. A couple really important things I want to touch on. As far as you have the person in there, and they're working out, everything's going well, and I want to touch on a couple things that I find are important to make sure that they continue to go well and things don't turn around and go south. Two things I think are, you should never ever forget them. Number one is, when you're hiring somebody, you're not doing them a favor. You're inviting them into your job, into your workplace, for a job. Okay, they're going to spend a lot of time there every week, every month, and you're going to have a high expectation of them. You're going to want them to treat their customers with the care and respect that you treat them with, and you're going to want them to make decisions that are always best for the company, with the company's best interests in mind. So with that said, you have to earn that from your employee. You have to remember, you're not doing them a favor. So what I mean by that is, lead by example. A good person that really wants to do their best at their job is going to want the opportunity to learn, to move up in position, and they're going to want to know that you and their visions align with the company. So what I mean by that is, don't expect your employer or employee to be on time if you're not on time. Don't expect your employee to be good with the customers if you make remarks about customers and if you're snarky. You have to lead by example here. They should always look at you as the North Star. So you should not be doing something that you don't want your employees to do, because when you're working for someone that is impressive, that is motivational, that is a good example, you want to move towards that, and that's inspiring, and that's a reason to put in your best, and that's a reason to stay late, and that's a reason to try new things and to work harder. But if you're not setting the example, don't expect your employees to, act a certain way or do a certain job just because you're paying them, or because you're the boss, or because you told them to, or because you just think they're going to. That's unrealistic, and that'll leave you in a world where you're alone in your business likely, or you're around other people who act in the way that's probably not the best for your business. So, there's never a reason to yell at your employees. There's never a reason to talk down to them. In challenging times when they make mistakes, it's your job to teach them the right way, because, you're not hiring somebody who's a million times better than you. Most likely you're hiring somebody who has a lot to learn, and hopefully you can learn from them, but they're definitely going to need to learn from you. So make sure you approach every situation as a learning example. If your employee doesn't seem to be remembering something you told them, or doing something the way you told them, you first question, what was your method of delivering that message? Was it clear? Did they really understand it? Is there a simpler way to do what you're asking them to do? And then, you've got to question, hey, is this person the right person for the job? There's going to be scenarios where it's simply not the right person for the job. So your best bet, if you feel that way, is to swap them out for somebody who does seem like a great fit, because you don't want to wear yourself out trying to train somebody who's just not a good fit. So on that subject, I want to kind of transition over to pay. And pay is dependent on what they're doing and how good they are at it. You always need to be looking at, what value does this person have for the company? How much money are they going to be able to bring in for the company if they're a tinter? What are they capable of doing? And then also keeping in mind that you're not going to get an incredible tinter that can tint 10 or 15 cars a day if your shop only brings in 4 to 5 cars a day. So you have to kind of keep that in mind too. So what I'm saying is, you want to build an environment that a tinter wants to work in. And that's typically a busy shop, because then that gives them the opportunity to make money. So, you've got to evaluate those things too. If you're having trouble hiring and keeping a tinter, and it sounds like you're doing everything correctly, you have to look at, are you paying them enough? And is your shop producing enough to pay them what they consider enough? So, I hope that gives you a different perspective on how to hire. It's not just about jumping in and saying, hey, I'm going to hire a tinter. If you're going to jump in and hire a tinter, if you're a one-man tint operation right now and you're doing 30 cars a week, and you hire a tinter and he's going to do the 30 cars a week, what are you going to do? Or he's going to do 15 cars a week, then you're going to make half the money, or you're going to make a fraction of the money depending on how much you pay him. That's not a realistic way to grow typically. And you've got to look at it from the perspective of, what are all the little things that I'm doing throughout the day that anybody can do, or I can train somebody in a few hours to do, that you can pay somebody $10 or $15 an hour to do, or even $20 an hour to do, and they're going to do it better than you would have did, and you can do things that earn you $100, $200, $300 an hour. So here's another really, really important point is, if you're going to have somebody in an administrative position, they're going to be answering the phones, they're going to be answering emails. It's really, really important that you know what they're doing without you having to spend your entire day trying to track what they're doing. Because if you're spending your day tracking what they're doing, it typically becomes easier for you to do it yourself. So also, if you're not tracking what they're doing, even the best employee, they lose a sense of accountability. And when there's no sense of accountability, things start to matter less. And you want them to matter more. So what I mean by that is, very, very, very fundamental part of tracking what's going on in your business, if you have somebody answering the phones, is every person who calls in, every email that comes in, that lead needs to go into one place, and it needs to have an update as to what happened. So what I mean by that is, if you take a call and Mary gets a price quote for $200 for her Civic and she's not interested, you should know that the phone rang and that there's a new lead for the day. You should know that it's Mary, you should know her phone number, and you should know the status of the call. So what happened? Right then and there, what you start to create is stats for the day. Hey, we took 15 calls, we scheduled 6 of them. We took 15 calls, we scheduled 14 of them. We took 15 calls, we scheduled 0 of them. You need to know why people are calling, if they're purchasing from you, if they're not, and if they're not, how did the call go? That's going to give you some insight as to how things can improve, but also it just builds a sense of accountability for the person answering the call. Think about it. If you're answering 20 calls in a day and you know that your boss can see from his phone how many calls have been answered so far today and what the statuses of them are, like, you're going to start wanting to have beneficial statuses. You're going to want your boss to see that you're doing a good job, that out of the 10 calls you scheduled 6 of them, not scheduled 2 of them. You're also going to know that it matters because those numbers are somewhere. As a boss, then you can start to set up like goals and ways to improve. You can see who's answering the calls if you have more than one person answering calls, and see, is one person doing more work than another? Does one person have a better conversion percentage than another? So what I'm saying is, every single call, you have to put it into a system. I highly recommend that system be Tint Wiz. But you have to be tracking the call, every single call, the status of the call. So at the end of the day, throughout the day, you know how many people are calling and what the statuses are. That is a crucial step to people being able to work together and for you to being able to track what's going on. If you just don't expect your employee to be very efficient with their day, because if I can get away with sitting there and looking at a video for an hour and I know nobody's watching, a lot of people start to gravitate into that mentality if they don't have a reason to be out of that mentality, and to realize that their time there is valuable and it's best spent on things that benefit the business. So that goes back to your leadership. The company environment has to be one where they want to help. They want to do everything they can to make it a successful business, and they want to do as much for you as possible. And then you have to give them the tools to be able to do that. A system in place. Everything can't be in your head. If everything's in your head, then how are they supposed to do anything? How are they supposed to learn? How are they supposed to contribute, and so on? So system in place, and get hiring with somebody that has the right intentions, and give them the absolute easiest jobs at your place, and that's going to set them up for success and give them a very smooth transition into training, because they're going to learn on the spot without being in positions that are nerve-wracking, like going on a consultation by themselves, or taking a call and not knowing what to expect. Again, the first step is listening to you. From there, once they listen to you and they kind of get an idea, they can look through emails that you've responded to previously and try to respond in a similar and better way. And then from there, they're going to have emails down. They're going to be able to talk to customers. They're going to be able to answer questions and call in new leads. And from there, you've just built yourself a salesperson, an administrative person, or even a consultant that can go out in the field and you can trust, and you don't have to waste time training, because they've trained the entire time they've trained with you. They've provided value for your business. So I'm just going to jump through the comments now and see what we got. What's up, Soak Shield? Thanks for watching. Thank you for everybody who's joined in and watched. I definitely really appreciate the support. Matt, you can totally read my shirt. What planet are you from that you can read my shirt? And Robert said blah. I wish you could expand on blah. I don't know how to take blah, but I hope you'll leave another comment. Let me know what you mean. So that's hiring and training. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. So many great points. We can go down these, endless rabbit holes as far as like hiring and training goes. Everything from, different ways to pay a tinter, to, ways to incentivize your consultant, being that it is a sales position, and they're the representative, the face of your business when they go out on flat glass. So just touching on like flat glass consultants, you need to evaluate, and even tinters in shop, you need to evaluate where you are in your company. If you're bursting at the seams, if you have more tint than you can do, and it feels like you would pay anything for a quality tinter, don't forget that when it comes to figuring out what you're going to pay that tinter, because a good tinter can make money, and if you have the work coming in, then you can go ahead and afford to pay that tinter good money. Don't shy to pay them good money, because you're going to still earn a part of the jobs that they're able to do. And if those are jobs that you would not have been able to do without them, then you're ahead. And if you're not in a position where you're bursting at the seams, but you still want to grow and you still want to hire another tinter to alleviate some of the extra work, but you don't necessarily have room for another master tinter in your shop, hire a helper. Hire somebody, get them started on prepping windows. They can take pictures of the car right when it comes in. They can go ahead and do a walk around of the car and note any damage. They can pull the car in. They can put the floor mats down. They can put the soak shields in the dash. They can put the towels down. They can put the door covers down. They can clean the windows. They can put the film through the plotter if you use one. Those are all things that can save you an immense amount of time. I mean, even pulling the films off the shelves and leaving you to focus just on sales and sticking the film to the glass. And that can take a one-man tint shop to a 1.5-man tint shop and double or triple the capacity, just by bringing in somebody who doesn't have tint experience, and you spend a little bit of time giving them the tasks. Everybody can pull a car in. If they can't pull a car in, they're not for the job. But like backing in the car, cleaning it, prepping the windows, like pulling the film off the shelves, who can't do that job? Why are you doing that job if your time is better spent sticking the film? So something to think about for this week. Again, just throughout the week and forever, think about your time. Think about how it's being spent, and try to put a value on that time, and try to say, if I was to pay somebody to do what I'm doing right now, what would that cost? Could I got delivery instead of going to the store? Could I have ordered on Amazon instead of making a Costco run? How much does that 30 or 40 or an hour or hour and a half time take when you factor in drive time, when you factor in gasoline costs, when you factor in driving and not answering your phone and so on? Like, what is the cost of that time if you said, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to pay for somebody else to do it? And start putting a value on that time, and see the ways that you can free up your time, even if it's how you get your supplies. Order in bulk instead of ordering every week. Order in bulk so you don't order every 2 weeks or order every month, or whatever you can afford to do. But the more time you save, the more time you can apply to where you want it to be, whether it be spending more time with your family or doing more of the parts of your business that bring you the most return. Because at the end of the day, efficiency really is everything, so you can have the time to do the things that are most valuable to you, whether they be your family, your recreation, or bringing in more money. So hope that was helpful. Next week we'll be doing it at the same time, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. live on our Facebook page, and then uploaded to YouTube afterwards. So thank you everybody for watching this time and always. And I'm really looking forward to continuing doing this every Tuesday with you guys. See you next time.